Hello, my dear friend. I want you to know that you being here right now is no accident. There's something inside you that knows there's a different way to live, a gentler path to the happiness and health that your heart is calling for. You might be feeling tired, worn down by the struggles of daily life, or perhaps you're sensing that despite everything you've tried, true peace and vitality still feel just out of reach. I understand this feeling completely, and I want you to know that what you're experiencing is not a sign of failure or weakness. It's actually a beautiful sign that your inner wisdom is awakening, calling you towards something deeper and more nurturing. Life has a way of presenting us with challenges that can leave us feeling disconnected from our own natural state of well-being. We live in a world that often tells us that happiness comes from external things, that health is something we must fight for, and that we need to be constantly doing more, achieving more, and becoming someone other than who we are right now. This external focus can leave us feeling exhausted, always searching for the next thing that will finally make us feel complete. But what if I told you that everything you've been searching for is already within you, waiting patiently to be acknowledged and nurtured? The secret to a happy, healthy life isn't found in any external circumstance, relationship, or achievement. It's not hidden in some complex system that only a few people can understand. The secret lies in the most simple, most accessible place of all: your relationship with yourself and the thoughts you choose to think moment by moment. This might sound too simple to be true, especially if you've been struggling for a long time, but sometimes the most profound truths are also the most simple ones. Right now, as you're listening to these words, you're already taking the first step toward transformation. You're giving yourself the gift of time and attention, something that perhaps you don't do often enough. Your willingness to be here, to listen, to consider that there might be another way, is already opening doors within you that have been closed for far too long. This openness is precious, and it's the foundation upon which all healing and happiness are built. The journey we're about to take together isn't about fixing what's wrong with you, because nothing is fundamentally wrong with you. You are not broken, damaged, or insufficient in any way. What we're going to explore is how to gently remove the layers of conditioning, fear, and limiting beliefs that have covered up your natural radiance. Think of it like clearing dust from a beautiful mirror. The mirror was never damaged. It just needed gentle, loving care to reveal its true brilliance once again. Your heart knows this truth already. There's a part of you that remembers what it feels like to be genuinely happy, to feel alive and vibrant, to approach each day with curiosity and joy rather than dread or resignation. This part of you has never disappeared, no matter what you've been through. It's been waiting patiently for you to turn your attention inward and offer yourself the same love and compassion you would give to someone you care about deeply. As we spend this time together, I invite you to be gentle with yourself. There's no need to judge any thoughts or feelings that arise. There's no need to have everything figured out by the end of our time together. Transformation is a process, not a destination, and every moment of awareness, every small shift in perspective, every tiny act of self-kindness creates ripples of change that extend far beyond what you can see right now. The path to genuine happiness and vibrant health begins with understanding something that might surprise you. Your thoughts are not just random mental activity with no real impact on your life. Your thoughts are living things, creative forces that are constantly shaping your experience of reality. Every thought you think sends signals throughout your entire body, influencing your emotions, your energy levels, your immune system, and even your physical posture and breathing. This connection between mind and body isn't some mystical concept that's difficult to understand. It's actually quite practical and observable once you begin to pay attention. When you think a loving, appreciative thought, notice how your body responds. Your shoulders might relax, your breathing might deepen, and a sense of warmth might spread through your chest. When you think a critical, fearful thought, observe how your body contracts, how tension might appear in your jaw or stomach, how your energy seems to drain away. This ongoing conversation between your thoughts and your body is happening constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people go through their days thinking the same types of thoughts they thought yesterday, wondering why they feel the same way they felt yesterday, experiencing the same level of health and happiness they experienced yesterday. But once you understand that your thoughts are the seeds from which your experiences grow, you realize that you have far more control over your life than you ever believed possible. The beautiful truth is that your body is designed to heal itself when given the right conditions. Your natural state is one of vitality, joy, and peace. But when your mind is constantly producing thoughts of worry, criticism, resentment, or fear, your body receives these messages and responds accordingly. It's not that your body is betraying you or failing you. Your body is actually being incredibly loyal, responding faithfully to the instructions it receives from your thoughts and emotions. This is why so many people find that even when they eat well, exercise regularly, and follow all the right health advice, they still don't feel truly vibrant. They're addressing the physical level while the mental and emotional levels continue to create stress and disharmony. True health and happiness require tending to the whole person, body, mind, and spirit working together in harmony. The wonderful news is that you can begin to change this pattern immediately. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions or until you've figured everything out. You don't need anyone's permission or approval. The power to choose different thoughts, to speak to yourself with kindness, to focus on what's working rather than what's wrong, is always available to you in this moment. Your body has been waiting for you to send it messages of love, appreciation, and encouragement. When you begin to do this consciously and consistently, you'll be amazed at how quickly your body responds. Energy that was tied up in stress and tension becomes available for healing and growth. Mental clarity improves. Emotional resilience increases. Even your relationships begin to change as you radiate a different energy into the world. Understanding this mind-body connection is like being given a key to a door you didn't even know existed. Behind that door lies your natural ability to create the kind of life you truly want to live. It's not about forcing or struggling or trying to make things happen through willpower alone. It's about aligning your thoughts with the loving intelligence that animates all of life, including you. Now that you understand how powerfully your thoughts influence your entire experience, it becomes clear why releasing old limiting patterns is such an important part of creating positive change. Most of us are carrying around thoughts and beliefs that we picked up long ago, often in childhood, that no longer serve who we're becoming. These old patterns are like clothes that once fit but have become too small. They're not bad or wrong, but they're no longer appropriate for where you are in your life right now. These limiting beliefs often sound like internal voices saying things like, "I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be happy, it's selfish to take care of myself," or "good things don't happen to people like me." These thoughts feel so familiar that we often don't even question them. We accept them as truth simply because we've been thinking them for so long. But the length of time you've believed something doesn't make it true, and it certainly doesn't mean you have to continue believing it. The process of releasing these old patterns doesn't require harsh self-criticism or forcing yourself to stop thinking certain thoughts. In fact, being harsh with yourself only creates more of the very energy you're trying to change. Instead, releasing happens through gentle awareness and compassionate choice. When you notice an old, limiting thought arising, you can simply acknowledge it without judgment and then consciously choose a thought that feels more loving and supportive. Think of your mind like a garden that has been growing wild for many years. There might be some beautiful flowers scattered throughout, but there are also weeds that have taken over large sections. You don't need to condemn the garden or tear everything up by the roots. You simply begin to tend it with care, removing the weeds gently and planting new seeds in their place. Over time, with consistent loving attention, the garden transforms into something beautiful and nourishing. One gentle way to begin this process is to spend a few moments each day simply noticing your thoughts without trying to change them. Just observe the stream of mental activity with curiosity rather than judgment. You might notice that certain thoughts repeat themselves frequently, or that your mind tends to focus on problems and worries rather than on possibilities and appreciation. This awareness itself is healing, because you can't change what you're not aware of. As you become more conscious of your thought patterns, you can begin to make different choices. When you catch yourself thinking something unkind about yourself or your life, you can pause and ask, what would a loving thought sound like right now? You don't have to believe the loving thought completely at first. You're simply practicing, creating new pathways in your mind, like worn paths through a meadow that become clearer and easier to follow with use. Sometimes people worry that if they stop focusing on problems and difficulties, they'll become irresponsible or naive. But there's a big difference between ignoring real issues and choosing not to dwell on them unnecessarily. When you approach challenges from a state of inner peace and self-love rather than fear and criticism, you actually become more effective at finding solutions. Your mind is clearer, your intuition is more accessible, and you're able to take action from wisdom rather than panic. The energy that gets freed up when you release old limiting patterns is remarkable. Energy that was once tied up in worry, resentment, and self-criticism becomes available for creativity, joy, and loving connection. You might find yourself feeling more enthusiastic about life, more interested in trying new things, or more drawn to activities and relationships that truly nourish you. This process of releasing and choosing happens gradually, moment by moment, day by day. Some days will feel easier than others, and this is completely natural. There's no timeline you need to follow, no standard you need to meet. Each moment of conscious choice, each gentle redirection of your thoughts toward love and appreciation is contributing to a profound transformation that extends far beyond what you can see or measure. As you continue this practice of releasing what no longer serves and choosing thoughts that support your well-being, you're not just changing your own life, you're contributing to the healing of everyone around you. When you radiate peace and self-love, you give others permission to do the same. Your transformation becomes a gift to the world, proof that gentle, loving change is possible for anyone willing to turn toward their own heart with kindness and patience. The most powerful medicine you can ever give yourself is the medicine of self-love. This might sound simple or even selfish to some part of your mind, but self-love is actually the foundation upon which all healing, all happiness, and all healthy relationships are built. When you truly love yourself, you naturally make choices that support your well-being. You speak to yourself with kindness. You surround yourself with people who treat you well. You create a life that reflects your worth and value. Self-love isn't about thinking you're perfect or better than others. It's about treating yourself with the same compassion and understanding you would offer a dear friend. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love and care simply because you exist, not because of what you do or achieve or how others respond to you. This unconditional love for yourself creates a stable foundation that no external circumstance can shake. Many people struggle with self-love because they've been taught that it's somehow wrong or dangerous. Perhaps you learned that loving yourself was conceited or selfish. Maybe you were taught that you had to earn love through performance, achievement, or being perfect. These teachings, while often given with good intentions, create a barrier between you and the very thing that could heal and transform your life. When you don't love yourself, you unconsciously create experiences that reflect this lack of self-worth. You might find yourself in relationships where you're not valued or respected. You might struggle with health issues that seem to resist all treatment. You might sabotage opportunities for success or happiness just when things start going well. This isn't because you're cursed or unlucky. It's because on some deep level, you don't believe you deserve good things, so your subconscious mind ensures that your external reality matches your internal beliefs. The beautiful truth is that learning to love yourself is a skill that can be developed just like any other skill. It takes practice and patience, but every small step towards self-love creates immediate benefits in your life. Your body begins to relax and heal when it feels loved. Your mind becomes clearer and more creative when it's not constantly criticizing and judging. Your relationships improve because you stop tolerating treatment that doesn't honor your worth. One of the most powerful ways to develop self-love is through what I call mirror work. This practice might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent years avoiding your own reflection or using mirrors only to find fault with your appearance. But the mirror can become your ally in transformation, a tool for building a loving relationship with the most important person in your life, you. Mirror work begins simply. The next time you look in a mirror, instead of immediately focusing on what you don't like about your appearance, take a moment to look into your own eyes with gentleness. These are the eyes that have seen you through every challenge, every joy, every moment of your life. They deserve to be met with love, not criticism. You might start by simply saying, "Hello, beautiful soul," or "I see you and I care about you." If this feels too difficult at first, that's perfectly understandable. You might notice resistance or even emotional reactions coming up. This is normal and actually shows that the practice is working. Your inner critic, the voice that has been running the show for so long, might feel threatened by this new approach. It might try to convince you that this is silly or pointless. Just acknowledge these reactions with kindness and continue anyway. As you practice mirror work regularly, you can begin to speak to yourself as you would to someone you love deeply. You might say things like, "I love and accept you exactly as you are," or "You are doing the best you can, and that's enough," or "I choose to see your beauty and worth." The specific words matter less than the intention behind them. You're teaching yourself what it feels like to be loved unconditionally. The inner critic that lives in most people's minds is like a radio station that's been playing the same harsh songs for years. But just as you can change the station on a radio, you can learn to change the voice in your head. When you notice the critic starting its familiar litany of complaints and judgments, you can gently interrupt and choose to listen to a different voice. The voice of your inner wisdom, your loving supporter, your biggest fan. This loving inner voice speaks differently than the critic. Where the critic says, "You always mess things up," the loving voice says, "You're learning and growing with each experience." Where the critic says, "You're not good enough," the loving voice says, "You are enough exactly as you are." Where the critic says, "You should be ashamed of yourself," the loving voice says, "I love you through all of your human imperfections." Transforming your inner dialogue takes time and patience, but the results are profound. When you speak to yourself with love and encouragement, your entire nervous system relaxes. Your body produces fewer stress hormones and more of the chemicals associated with happiness and well-being. Your immune system functions better, your creativity flows more freely, even your posture improves when you feel loved and supported from within. The practice of self-love also extends to how you treat your body. Instead of seeing your body as an enemy that needs to be controlled or punished, you can begin to see it as a loyal friend that has been carrying you through life. Your body deserves nourishing food, adequate rest, gentle movement, and appreciation for all it does for you every day. When you approach self-care from a place of love, rather than discipline or punishment, it becomes naturally enjoyable rather than a burden. As you develop a more loving relationship with yourself, you'll notice that your tolerance for unloving treatment from others naturally decreases. This isn't because you become harsh or demanding, but because when you truly know your worth, you can't help but expect to be treated with respect and kindness. You'll find yourself naturally gravitating toward people who appreciate and value you, and distancing yourself from those who don't. Self-love is the master key that unlocks every other door to happiness and health. When you love yourself, forgiveness becomes easier because you're not carrying the burden of self-hatred. Gratitude flows more naturally because you appreciate the gift of your own existence. Healthy choices become obvious because you want the best for someone you love. Joy becomes accessible because you're not constantly fighting against yourself. Closely connected to self-love is the healing practice of forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as something you do for other people, or as a way of saying that hurtful behavior was acceptable. But true forgiveness is actually a gift you give to yourself. It's a way of freeing yourself from the poison of resentment and anger that can eat away at your peace and vitality for years or even decades. When you hold on to resentment, you're essentially taking poison and hoping the other person will get sick. The anger and hurt you carry doesn't punish the person who wronged you, it punishes you. It takes up space in your mind and heart that could be filled with love and joy. It creates stress in your body that can manifest as physical illness, emotional problems, or chronic fatigue. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened was okay, or that you have to trust someone who has hurt you, or that you need to maintain a relationship with someone who treats you poorly. Forgiveness is about releasing the grip that old hurts have on your present moment happiness. It's about choosing peace over the desire to be right. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of past pain. The process of forgiveness often begins with understanding that hurt people hurt people. The person who wounded you was acting from their own pain, fear, and limitation. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you see that their actions said more about their own wounds than about your worth or value. When you can see hurtful behavior as a symptom of someone else's pain, rather than a reflection of your own inadequacy, forgiveness becomes much easier. Forgiveness is also a process, not a one-time event. You might need to forgive the same person or situation multiple times as different layers of hurt come to the surface. This is completely normal and doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Each time you choose forgiveness, you're loosening the grip of resentment a little more, creating more space for peace and happiness in your life. One gentle way to begin the forgiveness process is to start with small hurts rather than the biggest wounds. Practice forgiving the person who cut you off in traffic, or the clerk who was rude to you, or the friend who forgot your birthday. These smaller acts of forgiveness build your forgiveness muscle, making it easier to approach larger hurts when you're ready. For deeper wounds, you might need to work with forgiveness gradually. You can start by simply being willing to consider the possibility of forgiveness someday, even if you can't feel it yet. This willingness is itself a powerful step toward healing. You can also practice forgiving the situation rather than the person, or forgiving your own reactions and choices rather than trying to immediately forgive someone who caused you great pain. The physical benefits of forgiveness are remarkable. When you release resentment and anger, your blood pressure often decreases. Tension in your muscles relaxes. Your sleep improves. Your immune system functions better. Many people find that chronic health problems begin to improve once they've forgiven old hurts. This isn't coincidence. It's the natural result of freeing your body from the stress of carrying emotional poison. The most important person you may need to forgive is yourself. Most people are much harder on themselves than they would ever be on another person. You might be carrying guilt or shame about things you did or didn't do, sometimes many years ago. This self-condemnation creates a constant background of stress and unworthiness that undermines every area of your life. Forgiving yourself requires the same compassion you would offer a friend who made a mistake. You were doing the best you could with the awareness, knowledge, and resources you had at the time. If you could have done better, you would have. This doesn't mean you can't learn from past experiences or make different choices going forward. It means you can stop punishing yourself for being human and imperfect. When you truly forgive yourself and others, you free up enormous amounts of energy that were previously tied up in resentment and regret. This energy becomes available for creating positive experiences, pursuing dreams, building loving relationships, and contributing to the world in meaningful ways. Forgiveness transforms you from a victim of your past into the conscious creator of your future. Just as you would never dream of eating spoiled food and expecting your body to thrive, it's important to be conscious of the mental food you're feeding yourself every day. Your thoughts are the nutrition your mind receives, and just like physical nutrition, the quality of your mental diet directly affects your overall well-being. When you consistently choose thoughts that are loving, appreciative, and supportive, your mind becomes a place of peace and creativity. When you allow your thoughts to be dominated by worry, criticism, and negativity, your mind becomes a source of stress and limitation. The wonderful news is that you have complete control over what you choose to think about. You might not be able to control what thoughts initially arise in your mind, but you can absolutely choose which thoughts you give your attention to and which ones you allow to take root and grow. This is one of the most empowering realizations you can have. Your thoughts are not something that happen to you. They're something you can consciously choose. Think of your mind as a garden. In any garden, both flowers and weeds will naturally try to grow. A wise gardener doesn't waste time being upset about the appearance of weeds. They simply remove them and plant more flowers. In the same way, when negative or limiting thoughts appear in your mind, you don't need to judge yourself or fight against them. You can simply acknowledge them and then consciously plant thoughts that will create the kind of mental environment you want to live in. This conscious choice of thoughts becomes easier with practice. At first, you might not notice negative thinking patterns until you've been caught up in them for hours or even days. But as you develop the habit of paying attention to your mental activity, you'll begin to catch limiting thoughts earlier and earlier, sometimes before they've had a chance to affect your mood or energy at all. One simple practice that can transform your mental landscape is to spend a few minutes each morning consciously choosing thoughts for the day. Instead of immediately rushing into your daily activities or checking your phone, you can take a moment to set a positive tone for your mind. You might think about things you're grateful for, visualize positive experiences you'd like to have, or simply affirm your intention to approach the day with love and openness. Throughout the day, you can check in with your thoughts and gently redirect them when necessary. If you notice your mind spinning in worry about something that might happen, you can choose to focus on what's going well in the present moment. If you catch yourself criticizing someone else, you can choose to look for something you appreciate about them instead. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by everything you need to do, you can choose to focus on just the next small step rather than the entire mountain. Affirmations are one powerful tool for consciously choosing supportive thoughts. An affirmation is simply a positive statement that you repeat to yourself, either silently or out loud, to help create a new pattern of thinking. The key to effective affirmations is choosing statements that feel good to you, even if you don't completely believe them yet. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that feels false. You're gently introducing new possibilities into your awareness. Some affirmations that many people find helpful include, I am worthy of love and respect. I trust in my ability to handle whatever comes my way. I choose thoughts that support my happiness and well-being. Or, I am open to receiving all the good life has to offer. But the most powerful affirmations are ones that you create for yourself, based on what you most need to hear and believe. When you first begin using affirmations, your inner critic might immediately arise to argue with them. This is normal and actually shows that you're introducing thoughts that are different from your usual patterns. Instead of being discouraged by this resistance, you can see it as evidence that you're making positive changes. The critic's job has been to keep you small and safe, so it naturally resists anything that might lead to growth and expansion. You can work with affirmations in many different ways. Some people like to repeat them while looking in the mirror, combining the power of affirmations with mirror work. Others prefer to write them down, either in a journal or on small cards they carry with them. Some people like to say affirmations while walking or exercising, using the rhythm of physical movement to help anchor the positive thoughts. The most important thing about affirmations is consistency rather than perfection. It's better to spend 2 minutes each day consciously choosing supportive thoughts than to do an hour-long affirmation session once a week. Your mind responds to repetition and consistency, gradually accepting new patterns of thinking when they're introduced gently and regularly over time. As you practice choosing nourishing thoughts more consistently, you'll begin to notice changes not just in how you feel, but in what you experience in your outer life. When your mind is focused on appreciation rather than complaint, you naturally notice more things to appreciate. When you expect good things to happen, you're more likely to recognize opportunities when they appear. When you approach challenges with confidence rather than fear, you're more creative and resourceful in finding solutions. The practice of conscious thought choice is one of the most practical and immediately applicable tools you can use to transform your life. Every moment offers you a fresh opportunity to choose thoughts that support your happiness, health, and success. With gentle persistence and self-compassion, you can transform your mind from a place of stress and limitation into a garden of peace, creativity, and infinite possibility. One of the most transformative practices you can bring into your daily life is the conscious cultivation of gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a nice sentiment or something you're supposed to feel during holidays. Gratitude is actually a powerful life force that has the ability to shift your entire experience of reality in profound and immediate ways. When you approach life with genuine appreciation, you align yourself with the natural flow of abundance and joy that wants to move through your life. Gratitude works like a magnet for good experiences. When you focus your attention on what's working, what's beautiful, and what you appreciate in your life, you send a clear signal to the universe that you recognize and value these things. This recognition acts like an invitation for more experiences of the same quality to enter your life. It's not magic, though it might seem magical at first. It's simply the natural result of training your attention to notice and appreciate the good that's already present. Most people have been trained to notice what's wrong, what's missing, or what needs to be fixed. This survival-oriented way of thinking served our ancestors well when they needed to be constantly alert to danger and scarcity. But in today's world, this habitual focus on problems often creates more stress and dissatisfaction than it prevents. When you spend most of your mental energy thinking about what you don't like about your life, you actually strengthen those experiences and invite more of them. Gratitude creates the opposite effect. When you regularly acknowledge what you appreciate, you strengthen those experiences and invite more of them into your life. This isn't about pretending that challenges don't exist or putting on a false positive attitude. It's about training yourself to give your primary attention to what's working rather than what isn't, to what you have rather than what you lack, to what brings you joy rather than what causes you stress. The practice of gratitude can begin very simply. Each morning, before you get out of bed, you might take just a few moments to think of 3 things you appreciate about your life. These don't have to be big, dramatic things. You might be grateful for a comfortable bed, for the fact that you slept well, for the sunlight coming through your window, or for the coffee you're about to enjoy. The size of what you appreciate matters much less than the sincerity with which you appreciate it. Throughout the day, you can continue to look for moments of appreciation: the smile of a stranger, the taste of your lunch, a phone call from a friend, the feeling of your feet on the ground as you walk, the availability of clean water when you turn on a tap. Life is constantly offering you small gifts and miracles, but they're easy to overlook when your attention is habitually focused elsewhere. Some people find it helpful to keep a gratitude journal, writing down a few things they appreciate each day. This practice has the added benefit of creating a written record of good experiences that you can return to during more challenging times. When you're going through a difficult period, reading past entries can remind you that your life contains much more than whatever current challenge you're facing. Gratitude becomes especially powerful when you can find ways to appreciate things that initially seem difficult or unwelcome. This doesn't mean being grateful for harmful or traumatic experiences, but rather looking for the strength, wisdom, or growth that might emerge from challenging times. Perhaps a health scare motivated you to take better care of yourself. Maybe a job loss led you to discover work that better aligned with your values. Possibly a relationship ending created space for you to develop a stronger relationship with yourself. When you can find genuine appreciation even in the midst of difficulties, you transform yourself from a victim of circumstances into someone who can find meaning and growth in any situation. This doesn't happen overnight, and it's not about forcing yourself to feel grateful when you're genuinely struggling. It's about staying open to the possibility that even challenging experiences can serve your highest good in ways you might not understand immediately. The physical effects of regular gratitude practice are remarkable. People who practice gratitude consistently often experience better sleep, stronger immune function, lower blood pressure, and increased energy levels. Gratitude activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, healing, and restoration. When your body feels appreciated and grateful, it naturally moves into a state that supports health and vitality. Gratitude also has the power to transform your relationships with others. When you focus on appreciating the people in your life rather than focusing on their flaws or the ways they disappoint you, something beautiful happens. People feel your appreciation and naturally want to spend more time with you. They feel safe to be more authentic and generous in your presence. Your appreciation actually calls forth the best in others, creating more experiences worth appreciating. The ripple effects of gratitude extend far beyond your personal experience. When you move through the world with genuine appreciation, you become a source of positive energy that touches everyone you encounter. Your gratitude gives others permission to notice and appreciate the good in their own lives. You become living proof that it's possible to find joy and meaning even in an imperfect world. As you develop deeper self-love and gratitude, you naturally begin to attract and create healthier relationships in your life. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for all your other relationships. When you treat yourself with love, respect, and kindness, you unconsciously communicate to others that this is how you expect to be treated. When you criticize yourself, tolerate poor treatment from yourself, or constantly put your own needs last, you send a different message about what kind of treatment is acceptable. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, honest communication, and genuine care for each other's well-being. But these qualities can only exist between people who possess them within themselves. You can't give what you don't have, and you can't maintain healthy boundaries with others if you don't have healthy boundaries with yourself. This is why working on your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship work you can ever do. When you truly love and value yourself, you naturally attract people who love and value you as well. When you have a clear sense of your own worth, you don't need others to validate you or make you feel complete. This freedom from neediness allows you to relate to others from a place of genuine love, rather than from a place of trying to get something you think you lack. Setting boundaries with love is one of the most important skills for creating healthy relationships. Boundaries aren't walls that keep people out. They're guidelines that help people know how to treat you in ways that work for everyone involved. When you set clear, kind boundaries, you're actually giving people a gift by letting them know how to be in relationship with you successfully. Many people struggle with boundaries because they confuse being loving with being available for anything anyone wants from them. But true love sometimes requires saying no to requests that would drain your energy, compromise your values, or prevent you from taking care of your own needs. You can say no with love, and in fact, learning to say no when necessary is essential for being able to say yes wholeheartedly when it feels right. Healthy relationships also require releasing the need to control or change other people. Each person is on their own journey of growth and learning, and trying to force someone to be different than they are creates tension and resentment. When you love yourself fully, you don't need others to be different in order for you to be happy. You can appreciate people as they are while also making choices about how much time and energy you want to invest in different relationships. This doesn't mean accepting treatment that harms you or tolerating behavior that consistently disrespects your boundaries. It means recognizing that you can't control what others do, but you can always control how you respond and what you choose to allow in your life. Sometimes loving someone means creating distance if the relationship isn't healthy for either of you. Communication in healthy relationships is honest, kind, and focused on understanding rather than being right. When conflicts arise, as they naturally do in any relationship, you can approach them as opportunities to understand each other better rather than battles to be won. This requires being willing to listen to perspectives that might be different from your own and being honest about your own feelings and needs without blaming or attacking. The most beautiful relationships are ones where both people feel free to be authentically themselves. This kind of safety and acceptance can only exist when both people have done the inner work of accepting themselves. When you're not constantly trying to hide parts of yourself or be someone you're not, you give others permission to be genuine as well. As your relationships become healthier and more authentic, you'll find that they become sources of energy and joy rather than drains on your resources. You'll be surrounded by people who celebrate your successes, support you through challenges, and appreciate the unique gifts you bring to the world. These relationships become mirrors that reflect back your own worth and lovability, reinforcing the positive relationship you're building with yourself. Living authentically means honoring the truth of who you are at the deepest level. This includes your values, your dreams, your natural gifts, and your intuitive wisdom. So often, people spend their lives trying to be who they think they should be, rather than discovering and expressing who they actually are. This disconnect from authentic self-expression is one of the primary sources of unhappiness and dissatisfaction in many people's lives. Your authentic self is not something you need to create or achieve. It's something you need to uncover and remember. Underneath all the conditioning, expectations, and fears that may have accumulated over the years, there's a part of you that has remained pure and true. This essential self knows what brings you joy, what feels meaningful, and what direction wants to emerge in your life. Living your truth often requires courage, especially if your authentic self is different from what others expect or approve of. There may be people in your life who prefer the version of you that tries to please everyone and doesn't rock the boat. When you begin to honor your own needs and express your genuine thoughts and feelings, some people might feel uncomfortable or even critical. This is where the self-love and strong boundaries you've been developing become so important. When you truly value yourself, you can withstand the disapproval of others when necessary. You can make choices based on what feels right for you, rather than what will gain you approval or avoid conflict. This doesn't mean being inconsiderate of others, but it means not sacrificing your own well-being and authenticity to manage other people's emotions. Making choices that align with your truth often means paying attention to how different options feel in your body. Your body is incredibly wise and will often give you information about what's right for you before your mind has figured it out. When you're considering a decision, notice whether thinking about it makes you feel expanded and energized or contracted and drained. These physical sensations are valuable guidance from your inner wisdom. Sometimes living authentically means making changes in your life that feel scary or uncertain. You might need to leave a job that pays well but doesn't fulfill you, end a relationship that looks good on paper but doesn't nourish your soul, or pursue a dream that others think is impractical. These transitions require trusting that when you align with your truth, life will support you in ways you might not be able to see ahead of time. Living your truth also means expressing your unique gifts and contributions to the world. Everyone has something special to offer, some way of serving that feels natural and fulfilling to them. This might be through traditional work, creative expression, volunteer service, or simply the way you interact with people in your daily life. When you honor and express your gifts, you not only create more fulfillment in your own life, but you also contribute something valuable that only you can give. The courage to be authentic grows stronger with practice. Each time you choose truth over people-pleasing, each time you honor your needs rather than sacrificing them, each time you express yourself genuinely rather than saying what you think others want to hear, you strengthen your connection to your authentic self. Over time, living truthfully becomes more natural and comfortable than trying to be someone you're not. When you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage to be real gives others permission to drop their masks and be genuine as well. You become an example of what's possible when someone chooses to honor their truth rather than hide it. This ripple effect of authenticity contributes to creating a world where everyone feels safer to be who they really are. Now, as we come to the end of our time together, I want you to take a moment to appreciate how far you've already come simply by being here, by being open to these ideas, by considering that there might be gentler, more loving ways to approach your life and yourself. The fact that you've given yourself this gift of time and attention says something beautiful about your commitment to your own growth and healing. The secret to a happy, healthy life truly is simpler than most people believe, but it requires consistency and patience to implement. It's about choosing love over fear, one thought at a time. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a beloved friend. It's about releasing old hurts and limiting beliefs that no longer serve who you're becoming. It's about cultivating gratitude for what's already working in your life while remaining open to even greater good. Every practice we've explored together, from mirror work to forgiveness, from conscious thought choice to authentic living, is really just a different way of saying the same fundamental thing. You are worthy of love, happiness, and vibrant health simply because you exist. You don't have to earn these things through perfect behavior or achievements. They are your birthright, and learning to accept and embody this truth is the foundation of all lasting transformation. The changes you make in your inner world will naturally begin to reflect in your outer world, often in ways that will surprise and delight you. As you become more loving with yourself, you'll attract more loving relationships. As you focus on gratitude and appreciation, you'll notice more things to appreciate. As you release old resentments and fears, you'll feel lighter and more energetic. As you live more authentically, you'll find opportunities that align with who you really are. Remember that transformation is a process, not a destination. There will be days when these practices feel natural and easy, and days when they feel challenging or you forget to use them altogether. This is perfectly normal and human. The key is to be gentle with yourself during all phases of your growth, treating setbacks as opportunities to practice self-compassion rather than self-criticism. You have everything within you right now to begin creating the happy, healthy life your heart is calling for. The love you seek is already within you. The healing you need is already available to you. The joy you desire is your natural state, waiting to be uncovered beneath layers of old conditioning and limiting beliefs. Start where you are, with whatever feels most accessible to you today. Perhaps it's looking in the mirror with kindness, or choosing one loving thought to replace a critical one, or finding 3 things to appreciate about your current life. These small steps, taken consistently with love and patience, create the foundation for profound and lasting change. You are not broken and in need of fixing. You are not behind or inadequate in any way. You are a magnificent being who is remembering how to treat yourself with the love and respect you deserve. This remembering is one of the most important gifts you can give yourself, and through yourself to the world. I believe in you completely. I believe in your capacity to heal, to grow, to love yourself fully, and to create a life that brings you genuine joy and fulfillment. The universe believes in you too, and it's constantly conspiring to support your highest good, even when you can't see how. Take these ideas with you and make them your own. Trust your inner wisdom to guide you toward the practices and perspectives that serve you best. Be patient with yourself as you learn new ways of thinking and being. And always remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough, exactly as you are right now. Your happy, healthy life is not just possible, it's your natural inheritance. Claim it with love, step by gentle step, moment by precious moment. The world needs the gifts that only you can bring, and you deserve to experience all the love, joy, and vitality that life has to offer.